What is going on, guys? Shri Kanase here, and welcome back to another Shopify video. In this video, I'm going to be talking about a newly updated strategy specifically for CBOs. And this strategy is going to go in the ins and outs of CBOs and exactly how you can start implementing CBOs into your ad account for your Shopify store so that you get better results. But before I go in depth, I want to show you guys an upcoming update regarding CBOs, and this was taken from an online article, but as you can see, Facebook is making changes to campaign budget optimization, also known as CBOs, in 2019. Starting September, you will not be able to use anything else besides a CBO, which is why it is so important for you to stick till the end and watch the entire video so you get an idea of how CBOs work. Because starting September, that is the only thing that's going to be available to you. And like the meme says, stay calm, let's take a look at what this change really means. But before I go in depth, if this is the first time you're watching one of my Shopify videos, pause this video for about 2 seconds and smash that subscribe button down below so you stay up to date with the quality content I put on a weekly basis. But let's jump right into it without wasting any more time. Alright guys, so as of right now, in the beginning, what I want you to do is not directly jump into CBO campaigns. Instead, I want you to take it step by step, especially if you have never had any experience with CBOs. Now, what exactly is a CBO? A CBO is a campaign optimized at the campaign level instead of the ad set level, meaning normally you would put the budget at the ad set level, meaning you would have a budget for each ad set. Some ad sets would have $10 per day budget while others would have $25. But with the CBO, you get to choose a budget at the campaign level and then put several different ad sets within that campaign. But whatever budget you put at the campaign level, those ad sets are going to only spend that much. And in fact, Facebook is only going to allocate almost all of that budget to those specific ad sets, not all of them, only those specific ones which are giving you the most results. And pretty soon I'm going to jump into my ad account to show you guys a little bit more about what I mean, but for now, stick with me. But in order for you to start using these CBOs, you need to first test single interest ad sets or flex the interest and test those ad sets, or maybe narrow the interest down and test those ad sets in a different campaign. The main reason why we do this is so that we can find those winning ad sets which we can use a CBO to scale with. And remember, starting September, this is the only way you're going to be able to use campaigns. So gradually we're going to shift towards just testing products with CBOs. But for now, you need to find specific winning interests so that you can use them within a CBO. And for these interests, I recommend that you start testing with top 5 countries with the audience size bigger than 1 million. Anything below 1 million and you're not giving Facebook enough data to play around with. Remember, Facebook ads itself is a machine and it runs on an algorithm. This algorithm needs you to let it make most of the decisions, because only then can this algorithm work in your favor. So don't do a lot of narrowed audience targeting, especially below 1 million. If the interest is like 100 million, 200 million audience size, then it is perfectly fine to narrow it down. But our first steps would be to find those winning interests. And once you do launch these specific ad sets for the product that you want to use with the CBO, and by the way, make sure that the product has already shown some type of consistency and gotten you some results, because again, you want to take it gradually instead of immediately jumping into CBO for testing new products. But monitor these ad sets that you have launched for about 2 to 5 days depending on the budget. Of course, if you have like $100 per day ad set running, then it's only going to take you about a day to figure out whether that ad set is worth it or not. But I personally recommend you run at $5 per day up to $10 per day ad sets, just so you can give Facebook a little bit more time to optimize. But once that's done and 2 to 5 days have passed and you have clearly defined the winning ad sets, by the way, if you don't know how to define winning ad sets, the link to one of my videos on how that's done should have popped up in the top right. Pause this video for 2 seconds and do watch that. But what you want to do then is pick winning ad sets from those ones that you tested. So it can be up to 3 to 10 ad sets from those ad sets, whatever were the winning ones. And those are the only ones that we want to duplicate into a brand new campaign. So only choose the winning ad sets. Once again, do not choose the ones that did not show results. But once you have done that, then it's time to go into the CBO phase. This is where we start putting out those CBO campaigns. But before I go over this specific slide, I want to go ahead and hop into my business manager to show you guys a few things when it comes to CBOs. So here I am in my business manager. These are the campaigns which I have run basically since this January. I've just changed the time frame to lifetime, but if we change this up to just January, you can see that these were the ones that were running starting January. But let's go ahead and do that really quick. And as you can see, these were the ones that were running since January. Since then, these have spent about $26,000, and the break-even ROAS for this product is about a 1.4. Most of these ad sets within each individual campaign was profitable, and when it did turn unprofitable, I did shut them off. As you can see, some of them are shut off. But what I want to show you guys is, first of all, a few things regarding CBOs. So as you can see, I'm at the campaign level, but when you see the budget metric right here, you can see that there are some that says using ad set budget and some are that say the budget immediately. And these ones showing the budget immediately are the CBO campaigns, and these ones not showing them are regular campaigns which have ad set level optimization, meaning you set the budget at the ad set level. One thing that I want to really show you guys, and something I'll be also talking about later in this video, is WhatsApp placement. These two campaigns at the very top were WhatsApp placements, and these are the results. As you can see, this one spent about $25,000, which is a majority of this budget, and got $43,000 back in return, and the overall campaign was really profitable. Remember, we're looking at campaign level, not ad set level. If we were to look inside at the ad set level, the ROAS would be much higher. But I'll be going in depth more regarding why I even showed you guys WhatsApp placement. But what I want you to look at for now is the CBOs. So these were all the CBOs. Let's go ahead and change this to lifetime so I can show you all of these CBOs and how they did so far. So as you can see, the CBOs, most of them that I was testing were running at about $50 to $100 per day. I wasn't going too crazy with CBOs because it was fairly new back then as well for me. But in these recent months, I've been testing a lot. But what I want to do is show you guys the past results. So generally, a lot of these CBOs were running for about 3 to 4 days. Some were even running for about a day or two. And the main reason why I had to stop them so early is because when you run a CBO campaign, the budget really targets the audience that is working the best, and this causes the audience to get saturated pretty quickly. So even though I have 5 to 10 ad sets within each CBO, the only ad sets that are going to really run are about 2 to 3 within those 5 to 10, mainly because Facebook determined those as the real winners. And when that occurs, almost all of this budget is allocated to only those specific ad sets. And that leads to audience saturation pretty quickly. But within the first day or 2 days or even 3 days, these campaigns were really running really good. As you can see, this top CBO had a ROAS of 1.66, and that's after I stopped all of the bad ad sets. One thing you want to keep in mind is with the CBO, they're really good for really quick scaling. So about 2 to 3 days, you can make a couple $1,000s, tens of thousands of dollars, but pretty quickly they become really saturated and the ROAS begins to drop just like it did. So as you can see, this was at $50 per day, but about 6 days in, I had to stop this campaign because the ROAS was starting to drop. It, I believe, dropped from a 3 to about a 1.6. So at that point, you just want to stop the individual ad sets within each CBO. But this is generally how the CBO looks and works. Let's go back to our slide so I can keep on going with the presentation. But there are a few options that you have when it comes to the CBO phase, meaning after you have found your winning interest. So right from the beginning, you have two options. The first option, and this one is if you have a lower budget compared to someone else, is to stack 2 to 3 winning audiences inside one ad set. So let's go back really quick to the ads manager and let's go within one of the CBOs so I can show you guys what I mean. So this is within the CBO. As you can see clearly, one of the ad sets received a majority of the $50 per day compared to these other ones, and this one was a straight out failure. So Facebook decided not to allocate a lot of budget to this ad set, and this is exactly how a CBO works. But going back to the first option, instead of having these 5 ad sets, one option that you have, which I just went over, is to group some of these interests together and, as I said, stack 2 to 3 winning audiences inside one. So let's say, for example, these 2 ad sets were winning audiences, which I'm currently running inside the CBO. Instead of having individual ad sets for these audiences, maybe I can group this one inside this one so that I have 2 interests running together instead of having these 2 separate ad sets. And I can do the same for these 3. Instead of having 3 separate ad sets, I can just group them inside of one ad sets. So in total inside the CBO, I only have 2 ad sets running. And remember, this is one strategy if you have a lower budget, but if you do not have a lower budget, the second option is to run them individually, and this is at $25 per ad set. So as you can see, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 ad sets. You would run them at a CBO budget of $25 per ad set. So since I have 5 ad sets, I will run them at about $150 CBO. So if we go back to the campaign level, I had only run this campaign at $50 per day, but right now, as of 2019, I would have immediately changed this budget to $150 or more instead of running it at $50 per day. And what I have begun to notice is that running it at a higher budget, especially a CBO, really lets Facebook do a lot of the optimization quickly and accurately. And in fact, instead of having just $25 per ad set, if you can afford even more, I would do $25 to $50 per ad set. So if you were to do 50 each, then I would have this CBO running at $250 per day. And again, this is because we want Facebook to optimize fast so we get data fast and feedback fast. But this is the general strategies when it comes to CBOs. Remember, you have 2 options which you can do depending on your budget. But let's say you have an even more budget and you want to just go aggressive all in. That's when you want to dupe the CBO 3 times and you want to test different bidding strategies. Remember, there are 3 different types: the manual bidding, the auto bidding, meaning the lowest cost bidding, and the bid cap bidding, meaning lowest cost with bid cap. I don't want to go too much into that in this video, but basically you want to dupe that same exact CBO 3 times into these different bidding strategies. And for the bid cap or the manual bidding, you want to do it 3 times your cost per purchase. So let's say you're getting a cost per purchase on average about $10. Then for the manual bidding and the lowest cost with bid cap bidding, I would change the bidding to $30. And the main reason why we're duplicating one CBO 3 times is because we want to see which bidding strategy works the best with your ad account. And remember, every ad account is different. Something that works for me might not work for you. So that is why you want to test all 3 on a few CBOs. And once you get some results, you want to apply that same strategy each time. But one thing that is really important when it comes to CBOs is monitoring them, because they're running at such a high budget, $25 per ad set to $50 per ad set, meaning about $200 to $500 per day running for the CBO. You want to create automated rules, and one rule you want to definitely have is to shut off the ad if it is below your break-even ROAS. And I have included here how to calculate your break-even ROAS, because not a lot of people talk about that. The break-even ROAS is calculated by taking the total revenue that you'll get from selling a product. So let's say, for example, you sell a $50 product. And in fact, I'm going to do it on my calculator so I can show you guys. But let's go ahead and do it just really quick. So let's say you sell a product for $50 per day, so 50. And of course, you want to take into account the fees, because you want to subtract that from the $50. Shopify charges you about 2.9% per transaction plus 30 cents of fees. So let's do that really quick. Multiply by 0.029 minus 50 and then plus 0.30. So about $48.25 after paying off Shopify fees. And let's say you get the product for about $25. So let's do just that. Subtract 25. And that means you're left with a total profit of $23.25. This also means that you can spend about $23.25 per ad set before shutting it off. Now our final step is to divide the total revenue we get from selling the product, which is $50 in this case, and divide it by this number, which is 23.25. So let's do just that. 50 divided by 23.25. And there we go, our break-even ROAS for each ad set is 2.15. That means if your ad set drops below a ROAS of 2.15 for a product with the same metrics I just went over, you may want to consider shutting that ad set off. And when it comes to shutting off ad sets within a CBO, you want to be really aggressive, just so you let Facebook give a lot of that budget that you have allocated to the best performing ad sets instead of the losing ad sets. But once you've done all of these steps, you should have started getting some types of results with your CBO, whether it is good or bad. But let's say you're in the scaling phase now. You're getting some decent results and you want to take it even further. One thing that I had always recommended for regular campaigns was to not edit the original budget on the original ad set. because this always screwed up all of the optimization, and you would really quickly see that the ad set that was working well after you changed the budget or changed anything else started to perform really poorly. But what I have personally noticed after experimenting with it for a long period of time is that increasing budget on an original CBO actually doesn't make it worse, but it actually makes it better in most of the cases. Now, I'm not saying 100% of the time it's going to make it better, because of course Facebook is an algorithm and sometimes it fluctuates a lot. But one way to scale your CBO is to increase the original budget on that original CBO. If you want to take it nice and easy, you can apply the slow scaling method, meaning you can increase the budget by 25% every 24 hours. So let's say you have a CBO running at $500 per day and it performed really well with the ROAS of like 4 or 5, or just above your break-even ROAS, and you want to scale that CBO. You would increase the budget by 25% at midnight, so that starting midnight it runs at a new budget. But let's say you want to not take it slow and easy and you like to go all in and rapid. For the rapid scaling method, which I like to call the shotgun method, you need to increase your budget by 100% to 200% every 5 to 6 hours. So let's say you start a CBO at $500 per day at midnight, and then you wake up at around 8 a.m. or 9 a.m. and you see that it's really performing well. You want to double that budget or even increase that by 200% to maybe $1,000 or $1,500 and monitor it heavily for the next 5 to 6 hours. If it continues to perform really well, you want to do that again, maybe $3,000 to $5,000. And this is a really rapid scaling method, but you need to understand that with this method, your audience is going to get saturated really quickly. So once the CBO does start to do a little bit poorly, you may want to consider shutting it out because the audience became saturated due to the big budget. Another option for you is to scale via bidding strategies. Again, as I mentioned in my last slide, you can do manual bidding, lowest cost bidding, or lowest cost with bid cap. And again, what this is going to do is it's going to let you play around with each of these strategies so that you can find out which strategy works the best for your ad account. And one major thing I want to talk about is the placement itself. Now, there was a reason why I showed you the WhatsApp placement as one of the campaigns. That is because there are so many people who only stick to Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds, maybe try Facebook stories or something like that, or maybe auto placements. But how many of you have really tried any other placement like Messenger or WhatsApp placement? This is really a big gold mine because nobody really even tries these placements, and nobody is forcing you to try just Facebook feeds or Instagram feeds when testing products. Especially when you're scaling, you should go ahead and try a WhatsApp placement or any other placement so that you can see whether your product performs better on the other placements. As you can see, when I showed you my ad manager, the WhatsApp placement spent $25,000. And the only reason why I let it even spend $25,000 is because it was getting me results. There's no other reason why I would spend 25 grand for it to not give me results. It is a real big gold mine that not a lot of people know how to use. But one way you can implement these new placements is to take your top 3 to 5 best performing ad sets and change the placement of these ad sets to just WhatsApp placement. And you can run these 3 to 5 within the CBO or individually depending on how you want to scale. But definitely give that a try because it has been working wonders for me. But I want to give you guys some general tips and tricks and also look in one of my mentoring students' ad account who is currently scaling a product and has done about $60,000 just for the month of March. But before I go into this slide, I want to go ahead and hop onto his ad manager so he can show you guys the CBO tactics that I'm teaching in this slideshow are actually working. So here we are within his ad manager right here, and as you can see, I've only chosen those campaigns which were running on CBOs. So he has actually been testing out the CBOs, like I mentioned, running at higher budgets instead of lower $100 or $50. He has some at $500. But what I want to do is show you guys how it is working for him. So if we look at all of the stats, the CTR looks very nice, above 1%. I remember this is a CBO, so it's going to target a lot of people in a very short period of time. So these kinds of stats are bound to be lower. But the main stat that we're interested in is the purchases and the cost per purchase and the ROAS. So I have ranked the CBOs by the highest ROAS at the top to the lowest. And as you can see, these CBOs are really performing the best. So this top CBO is running at $100 per day. My student did go ahead and duplicate those 3 to 5 winning ad sets that you found in a normal campaign into this CBO. And as you can see, It has been running for about 20 days now and consistently giving him good results. He spent about $2,179 on this campaign and got back in return about $5,600. And the break-even point for this product, which is a high-ticket product by the way, is about $50. So as you can see, the strategies I just mentioned are working really well, not just for low ticket, but for high ticket like my student is selling. And of course, there are some CBOs which did bad, like this one at $50 per day. Again, this was a low budget, but as you can see, it only got 1 purchase and 2 add to carts, not the best results. But clearly, those CBOs running at higher budgets were the ones consistently giving a good ROAS, like this one, 2.31, 39 purchases at $48. Again, my student made a lot of profit from these CBOs, about $1,800 spent to get back $4,300 in return. And as you can see, when he went to the $500 per day CBO level, the cost per purchase increased. And this is going to be common when you increase the budget, because again, Facebook is throwing out your ad set at a large amount of people in a shorter period of time, and not everybody is going to convert. So this directly increases the cost per purchase. But again, you want to only run these CBOs or the ad sets within each CBO until they give you profits, because once they stop being profitable, you want to be aggressive in shutting them off. But overall, the CBOs work really wonders when it comes to scaling good ad sets. But let's go back to our slideshow and continue on. Now I want to go over some tips and tricks when it comes to CBOs. What I have personally noticed when it comes to the attribution window for a CBO is that the 1-day click or the 1-day click / view content work the best. This is because we want our customers to either click on the ad on the first day and purchase, or click or just view the ad on the first day. And again, these may work differently for your ad account, for my ad account so far, and I've done a lot of testing with CBOs by the way, and also my students account, 1-day click and 1-day click / view content have been working the best. But one thing you want to try within each ad set within the CBO is to test different ad copies, preferably 2 to 5 ad copies. You do not want to have just one ad copy, because when you have different ad copies within each ad set, you let Facebook decide which ad copy is working the best for that ad set. And for each ad set, it may be different or it may be the same, but let Facebook decide that for you. Don't make the decision yourself. And if you let Facebook make the decision, it's going to make you a lot of money. But when it comes to stopping ad sets, you want to stop the bad ads, meaning the ads within each ad set at the end of the day. So let's say you start an ad at midnight today. Then you would look at the ad after the day has finished and just see which ads are not performing the best. You want to shut them off right after the first day at midnight, so that only the good ads can run starting the second day. But at the end of the second day, that's when you want to start really going down on those bad ads and shutting off the bad ad sets. Remember, you want to be aggressive when it comes to shutting off the ad sets, because you want to get a lot of profit in a short period of time through the CBO. And CBOs spend a lot, so be careful of that. But one thing you're going to face when you're running a CBO is fluctuations. One day your CBO might give you a ROAS of 10, while the second day it may give you a ROAS of 0.5. And this is really common within each ad set within the CBO. And if you see that an ad set was performing really well a day before, but now the ROAS has completely tanked, you want to generally give it one more day to run. And if the results are the same the next day, meaning bad results, you want to stop that ad set within the CBO for a few hours. After a few hours have gone by, you want to restart that ad set. What I have noticed is just restarting an ad set right from the scratch, restarting a winning ad set after it has performed poorly, actually re-optimizes the ad set, and in most cases it starts to perform well again. So this is definitely worth a try when it comes to a CBO and the ad sets within the CBO. But now that we've gone over the general tips and tricks regarding CBOs, I wanted to go over the specific student whose ad account I was just showing you. So as you can see, this student just posted in my free Facebook group, and if you haven't joined it, by the way, the link is in the description. It is a completely free Facebook group for you to join. But through these strategies, this student has been able to do about $61,000 just this month. And as you can see, with the use of CBOs and other scaling strategies I have implemented in my YouTube channel and also my Facebook ads course, this student was able to slowly and steadily increase his sales over time despite the fluctuations and keep a large portion of the profit. I'm showing you this image because these are the results that have come specifically from one-on-one mentoring and also through the application of a lot of the strategies in my Facebook ads course. And this is not the only student getting results like this with the course or mentoring. A lot of other students have been getting such results. So if you really are troubled with Facebook ads, you're not sure how to make it work, highly recommend that you check out my Facebook ads course. The link is in the description and there's a coupon code available for you. But just looking through some secret guidelines can really help you make the difference when it comes to Shopify dropshipping. But definitely do check that out if you want to take your e-commerce store to the next level. But that was it for this video. If you guys found any type of value in this video, don't forget to hit that like button and I'll see you guys next time.